Now that we have downloaded and installed it, let's go ahead and start working with Ubuntu. So a few things that you will notice that are similar are the contents over here. So basically you have a bar. On Windows you have it on the bottom, but you can shift it anywhere you want, even on Windows. And here you have it on the left hand side, where you have the browser, you have the email client, then you have the file system, the music system, and an equivalent of Microsoft Office, which is called LibreOffice. And then you have the Ubuntu App Store, basically, where you download software, right? And then you have the help option over here. And if you want to change the settings, all you have to do is just click over here and you will see the option to reduce and increase volume. You want to check your connection, how much battery you have, and then settings itself. So once you click on settings, your settings tab will open and you'll have various different settings to change from. So let's wait for it, then I'll explain them to you. All right, so here's the settings window. As you guys can see, there are a lot of settings: network settings, Bluetooth settings, background settings, appearance, notifications, search, application, privacy, online accounts, sharing, sound, power, displays, mouse and keyboard, mouse and touchpad, keyboard, printers, removable media, regional language, universal access, users, etc., right? So you have a lot of different settings you can go ahead and change over here. Now, we are using the graphical user interface shell in this case, which means that we are basically interacting with the kernel, but by making use of the graphical user interface. But as we know, there is another option, that is the shell, that is the command line interface. So how do we use the command line interface on Ubuntu? So all you have to do is just press the host key or the Windows key if you have, and type in terminal, or press Ctrl T. And once you do that, the terminal will open up. Or when you see the icon, just click on it and the terminal will open up. Now, this terminal is basically the place where you will be writing all the commands that will be used to make all the changes or manipulate anything that you may want to. Let's wait for it to open up. And you guys can see the terminal has opened up, and let me explain to you what this is. So over here, this is the name of the user that we are logged in as. So we are logged in as Ram, and this is the name of the machine. So if you remember, our name of the machine was Ram VirtualBox. And here we can start typing in all the different commands that we may want to. Cool. So there are two types of users. There's root and there's the normal one. We have logged in as the normal one. If you want, we can change to the root user also. All right. So I'm just going to minimize this because I just want to explain a few more things. So the web browser in the VirtualBox is connected to the internet, so you can just go ahead and browse internet using this also. And we have the file system. So if I select, double click on the folder over here, or if you click on files over here, then you will see Explorer opening up, a file system explorer. Okay. So as you can see, our file system explorer has opened up, and it's pretty similar to how your Windows file explorer system is. So which is over here. If I just click on it, you guys will see all the file explorers and everything in my own system. But here in Ubuntu, we have similar things. You have home, you have desktop, documents, downloads, music, and etc. Okay. Now let me go ahead and close this, and we're going to go ahead and open the terminal so we can start using the commands that will help us to understand how to use Ubuntu. Okay guys, now we're going to start using the commands. Okay, so let me explain to you what is happening over here. So over here, we are in a specific directory or a folder. So whenever you're inside some kind of folder, since we were in the RAM folder before, you were basically accessing different folders. So similarly, even on your console, you can access different folders, but we call them directories over here, right? If I do a pwd, which is one of the first commands you guys are going to learn, it tells us the present working directory. So whichever directory you are in will be listed over here. So as you guys can see, it's giving us /home/ram. So it is basically telling us that we are inside the RAM users folder. So we can go ahead and use another command called ls. It will list all the different objects or files that are within this particular folder. So even though we are inside the RAM folder, why does it tell us /home/ram? So if you ever open up any Windows, Explorer, you'll find the same thing. So if I go to this PC and if I click on the navigation bar over here, or let's go into C drive, and from C drive, if we go into program files, you guys can see it shows us this PC, local disk, and then program files. So it's basically telling us which is the parent folder, then which is the child folder, and then which is the current folder of the child, right? So we can see it is C/program files. If you go to Adobe, you can see Adobe being added over here, and we see C/program files/Adobe. So similarly, even here, you have /home/RAM. So you are within the home folder, and within the home folder, you are in the RAM folder. And if you check the contents of the RAM folder, you'll find all of these things. You have desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public, templates, videos, etc. Okay, so this is our ls command. Now, there are different kinds of ls commands. So let me take you through them. So if you type in ls-a, so what it does is that it lists all the objects within the present working directory, but it lists all the objects. So when you just type in ls, it does not show you hidden files. So if we went back to our Windows example, and if I had some hidden files, I'll click on view, and then I'll make sure that the hidden files box is ticked. So it will show me all the hidden files. But with Ubuntu, if you're using a if you're using a terminal, then you will not see the hidden files when you just type in ls. So if I do ls-a, you guys can see all the hidden files. So in Ubuntu, hidden files start with dot. So .cache, .config, .gnu, pg, .local, .ssh, .mozilla, all of these are hidden files and we can all see them now. So this is your ls-a, list all commands. Then we have the command ls-al. Now, the difference here is that we are listing all the files, but we also want it in an ordered manner where we can see the metadata of the files. So that's why we have the LAL. All right. So if you just want all the files, but not the hidden files, then you can just do ls-l. So all the hidden files are not available, but you can still see the metadata. So -l is used to check out the metadata. So the desktop folder was created. These are the specific privileges it has, the user which owns it, the user group, and etc. Okay, and the date and time. So again, guys, we can use ls-a to list all the commands, all the files in the working directory. Or if you want, we can list them in an ordered manner with the metadata. Or if you don't want the hidden files, you just do ls-l. It lists all the data, which is not hidden, but gives you the metadata, right? And if you just want a shortcut of ls-l, just type in ll. Easy, very easy. All right, it gives you everything. All right, so that was our list command. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about the cd command. So let me bring up the pwd command, which tells you the present working directory, and I do an ls. We can see all of these different folders. All right, so if we want to navigate from one folder to another, how do we do it? Or if we want to navigate from one directory to another, how do we do it? So let's try this. So for that purpose, we use a cd command. So you type it in cd and you mention the destination that you want to head to. So the destination we want to head to is documents. So you just need to do a / and write in documents. But make sure that you are writing the exact word, even including the capital, lower uppercase. And if I press enter, it tells me that there is no documents. Now, the reason for this is that we did not mention a dot. Now I'll tell you why we have to mention a dot over here. So let me just write this command again, cd /documents. All right. And we can see that our destination has changed. We have gone from RAM user folder to documents folder. And if I do a pwd, you can see it has changed from /home/ram to /home/ram/documents. Now, why did we mention a dot over here? So let me go back to explain this. How do I go back? I use a command called cd /. And you can see if I do a pwd, we have gone back. So how did this happen? So to explain this, I'm just going to do ls-a, and you guys can see dot and dot. Now dot basically means the previous directory and dot means the current directory. So if I want to head to documents folder again, I need to mention its exact address. Now I can do this where I type in home/ram/documents and it will take me there. But if I don't want to type the whole thing and I already know that this is the present working directory, I can just use a dot. It's a shortcut basically. If you are in the present working directory already where the folder is, then you can just do a cd /documents. All right. So we are already in documents. So I'm just going to go out and we're going to use the command. All right. So this is how you use the cd command. Now there are a few other ways you can use this cd command. As we mentioned, cd .. takes you back and cd / takes you into the folder within the present working directory. But there are other commands. So let's say that we head to cd/home and do a pwd. You can see we are in the home folder. So what if we want to go back? How do we do that? So we cannot use cd .. because that will take us to some other directory. That is the root directory. We want to go back to our RAM folder. So let me do something called cd-. So cd- will basically take me back to the previous location. If I do cd-, you guys can see I'm in the home folder again. Now, if I do a cd- again, it will not take me to RAM folder. It will take me back to the root folder because that was my previous location. So if I want to go back to the RAM folder, I'll just have to do cd/home and /ram. Okay. And if I do a cd- again to show you guys, I'll be back in the home folder. So this is how it works. Now, there is another command called cd hyphen, which basically takes you to the root directory. Okay, so that's how you do it if you want to go to the root directory. So this was a cd command. Now let's head back. We are already here. If I do an ls, we can make sure we are in the correct directory. Yes, we are. All right, so these were our navigation commands. Now let's try a little bit of file handling. Okay, to do that, let me go ahead and create a new folder over here. To do that, I'm going to use a command called mkdir, and then I'm going to mention it as new. So mkdir command is basically make a directory command. So if I write mkdir new, it will create a new folder called new. If I do an ls, you guys can see that new has been created. We can go inside new cd./new. And now we are in the new folder. So we have created a new folder or a new directory using the mkdir command. Now we can do a lot of things over here. We can go ahead and create a new file. So I can do touch and write hello.txt. So this has created, if we do another, I created a text file over here. And we can go ahead and edit this text file. Now, touch commands are basically used to create these kind of files, small text files, okay, or small configurations files. Now, if you want to edit this particular text file, we need to use another command called nano. Now, remember guys, touch is just to create, but nano is a file editor. Like how you have notepad on Windows, nano is a notepad, but on Ubuntu. Okay, so if I do nano hello.txt, again, follow every lowercase, uppercase, and exact wording. And you guys can see a new editor has opened up. So this is the editor. I can write anything. Hello guys, hope you all are well. Please ignore my wrong capitalizing, but now we have written this. So I can go ahead and save it. You guys can see the options here written below, which basically allows me to work with this. So we're going to do Control O, which allows us to give it a name and save it. So we saved it and it told us that we wrote one line. We can go ahead and exit it now using Control X. And we have entered some data into our hello.txt file. We can check what the data is by just using nano hello.txt command again, or we can use a very simple command called cat command. So I can just write cat hello.txt, and you guys can see in the output, this is what we wrote. So this is how you create a text file. This is how you edit that text file, and this is how you see the output of it. If you guys want, you can just directly write fun.txt and it will create a file. So you're skipping the touch part over here. Just write nano fun.txt. Let's write hello. And let's go save it, let's exit it, and I'm going to do a cat on it just to see if it's written or not, and it's written. So it's working totally fine. So that was our nano command, cat command, and touch command. So if you don't want to use the nano editor, you have the option of using the V editor. So you can just type in V fun.txt and it will open up in a different text editor. So it's a different type of text editor, all right? So you have different options also. Now what we're going to do is we're going to exit it over here. So I'm just going to use shift : and it will give me the option to write and quit. So I'm just going to write and quit. All right, so that was our other type of editor. Now, what if we want to remove the fun.txt file? We can go ahead and use the command called rm, which is basically used to remove these files. So I'm just going to write rm fun.txt, and if I do an ls, you guys can see that the file is removed. Now, I'm able to remove this file because I'm the owner of it. But if this file was created by the root user, I will not be able to remove it because I don't have the privilege as a RAM user. Okay, so that is a good tidbit for you guys. Now, if you want to remove everything in this thing folder, let me just create a few files, and you can see there are 3 files, but we don't want these 3 files. I'm just going to type in rm-rf and star. Star means everything. So now if I do an ls, you guys can see there is nothing there anymore. Okay. And there's another cool thing. If I go back and now I want to remove the new directory that we created, I can just type in rmdir and the name of this directory. Okay. So rmdir is basically remove directory. And if I do an ls, we don't have the new folder anymore. Okay, so this is how you work with you create the folder using mkdir command, you remove it using rmdir, you create files using touch, and you edit them using nano or v, and then you can use cat to see their output, and you can go ahead and remove them using the rm commands. And if you want to remove everything, just do rm-rf, this thing, start. Okay, now this command is a little risky command. Be careful how you use it because it removes everything and it doesn't even ask for your confirmation. So you can remove some sensitive data without even realizing it. So I would recommend not using it at all. Okay. All right, so with that out of the way, I just want to tell you guys 2 more commands like mv command and cp command. So what are these commands? They're basically what their name states. Mv is move command and cp is copy command. So we have the fun folder. Let me go inside fun folder. We are inside the fun folder, and so there are 2 ways you can do it. You can do /fun also or fun also. Okay. Now that we're inside the fun folder, we have nothing. We're going to go ahead and create a few files. Touch hello.txt, touch fun.txt. And we have 2 files. Now I want to copy these files or move one of them. I want to move fun.txt to fun.desktop. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am moving fun.txt from the current directory to this particular destination. So what is this particular destination? Dot means previous directory, which is our RAM home folder, and desktop. So from RAM, it will go on to desktop. Okay, I'm gonna press enter and I'm gonna see that fun.txt is not here anymore. I'm gonna go back and we are going to go into the desktop folder. And if I do an ls, you guys can see fun.txt. Now, if you want to copy this file, we can go ahead and do that also. I can just type in fun.cp, fun.txt, and I want it to be copied to / in the fun folder. Okay, I'm going to press enter and we're going to go back to the fun folder, and you guys can see the fun.txt is also over here. And if you just go back using cd hyphen, we can see the fun.txt is also over here because we copied the file instead of just moving it. Moving is basically cut and copying is copying as it is. All right, guys, so these were some of the basic commands that you would require to start working with the console. Now let's delve and start learning about a few more commands. Okay, now let me tell you about the uname command. So uname command basically gives you what kind of kernel you're using. Okay, now if you want the kernel number, you can go ahead and type in uname -r. It gives you the kernel number. And if you want all of the details of your system, just type in uname -a, and it will give you all the details: Linux, RAM, VirtualBox, the name of a machine, kernel number, and a lot more details. Okay, so that is your uname command. Now let's talk about user information and permissions. You know RAM, but if you don't know which user you're logged in as, you can just type in who am I. So who am I will tell you which user you are. I am the RAM user. Okay, now what happens when you want to switch to the root user from the command line interface? So you can do that using the command called sudo su. Okay, so if you press enter, it will ask you for a password. So I'm going to type in RAM, and you guys can see I've switched from RAM user to the root user. Okay, now the root user has special privileges. If I do an ls, we can see fun.txt, and let me go ahead and type create something called hello hi.txt. Okay, now I can go ahead and exit out of the root user by using the exit command. And if I do an ls, you guys can see hello hi.txt, but if I do an ll, you guys can see that hello hi.txt is owned by the root user, right? It has all the root privileges. So we cannot go ahead and use this as the RAM user. All right. Now, how do we switch into the root user? By using the command called sudo su. So it is your super user switch, in which you're switching from normal user onto a special user. That is your root user. All right. So one thing you guys might have noticed is that I'm clearing the screen, but you guys don't know how. So I'm just using a command called Control L. So it's not a command. It's just me pressing Control L. And what it does is just it pushes back everything. So you guys can see the scroll bar. All the information is there behind. All right. So it's just taking time to load, but all the information is there. And if you want to clear the screen, you can just use the clear command, and it will clear that. And you'll see that the bar changed from being a small one to the big one. That means that there is nothing that you can scroll back to anymore. All right, so there is another command that is basically a prefix called sudo. So if you're using sudo with anything, it gives you temporary super user powers. So if you want to install anything, sudo apt, install docker or whatever tool, then you need sudo access, because to install stuff, you generally need super user access. All right, and there is another command called chmod, which is basically used to change the permissions of things. So since we saw that one of the files that we created, hello hi guys, had different permissions that only root user could access, if you wanted to change that, we can go ahead and use the command called chmod and use a number for it. Now that is going into a little bit more complicated stuff, so I'm going to not tell you guys about it more for now, maybe in later courses, but understand what this command is used for. Now let me tell you some miscellaneous commands. So whenever you're typing anything, right? So let's say for example, I am writing cd ... and I want to go to the fun folder, but I just write F, and then the UN fills by itself. How did that happen? I'm using the tab command. So Linux has this amazing feature of auto filling up. So let me actually go back. All right. So now from here, we'll head on to desktop, and you guys can see I didn't even need to write desktop. I just wrote capital D and pressed tab. So it auto completed by itself. So that is an amazing feature that you guys can use to complete commands, because the terminal is smart. It sometimes knows what commands you're going to be typing in, and it basically helps you fill them. All right. Now there is another thing called the up arrow key. So you can switch between older commands by going up arrow key. If you press it, and you'll see all the older commands. But if you go down, you can go ahead and check the latest commands also, and just press enter and redo them. And if you want, you can just check out all the commands by typing in history. Okay, so the history is with a small h, not with a large h, and you guys can see all the different commands there are over here. You guys can see all the commands we use. We use the first command to the ls command, cd command, all the commands that we used so far. All right, so that is the history command. Now there is another command called htop, which is basically, all right, so it's not installed on its system. So let me keep this for later. Now there is another command called tree command, which is also not installed on the system. So I'll tell you guys those commands later. Now echo is another command which basically allows you to print out statements. So if I just type in hello world over here, you guys can see hello world has been just put out to the console. So in the console, you guys can just see hello world. So you can put out any statement. It's like this is basically a print statement, and it prints out statements. You can use a command called cal, which is basically a calendar. You can use a command called bc, which is basically it's your calculator. If I do 10 plus 10, you guys can see that it is outputting stuff. All right. Yeah. Now you can just go ahead and control C, and you can use control Z to stop the calculator. And you have another command which is basically called wget. Now wget may not also be installed on the system. So let's use the command called ping curl. So curl command and wget command basically allow you to browse the internet. So if I just do a curl.google.com, it will basically get google.com and display the output for us over here. So curl is also not installed. So let's just use ping google.com. And you guys can see it. If I'm able to ping google.com, then that means I am connected to the internet. So yeah, this means I'm connected to the internet. I'll just control C, and you guys can see 8 received, 0 packet lost. That means you're connected to the internet. All right, now a few other commands. So if you want to check a version of something, so let's say if you want to check Java's version, then you use --- version. So --- version is basically used to check the version of specific files you have. So if Java is not installed on your system, then you will not be seeing the version of Java. All right, so there are other commands. So you have tar command. So if you see compressed files, so on Windows, you see those compressed files as WinZip files, right? So on Linux, you generally see them as .tar.gz files. To unzip them, you use this command called tar zxf, and you type in whatever the file is, and that file has to be in the correct directory, or you have to mention the file path for that directory. Okay, so with that out of the way, we can go ahead and end the session with the last few commands. So this is where I'll be telling you how to use a package manager. So the package manager for Ubuntu is apt. So let's go ahead and use it. So first, I'm going to type in this command called sudo apt update. So what this will do is it will give the root permissions for the package manager to update its own list. So if I told you guys, if you remember guys, I told you that apt has its own particular list that it uses to download stuff. So we're going to update that list by typing in this command. And you guys can see it's working its way. The first connection, the second connection, and it will keep on doing this, so on and so forth. And generally for all of you guys, it will be very fast. It's a little slow on my system because of my internet speeds, but don't worry about that. This is just to show you guys. Now, once you've updated it, then you can start going ahead and downloading all the software that you want to. Now, let me go ahead and use a very simple software, sudo apt install tree. All right, so I'm going to press enter, and it will install the command tree for me. So let's just wait for this to happen. All right, so as you guys can see, my tree command is now installed. I just need to type in tree, and I'll press enter, and you guys can see that the command basically is used to present a graphical diagram of how everything is laid out from the present working directory. Our present working directory is RAM. So if we open up RAM, this is how the tree will be formed. You have desktop, downloads, documents, fun, and they have their own particular folders. If there is nothing inside music, pictures, it won't be displayed over here. So that was the tree command, and similarly, you can go ahead and use and download other commands like sudo apt install wget or curl, and that will allow you to access the internet from the console, and etc, etc. So guys, these were the different common commands I think that you guys should know to start working with Linux. And I'm pretty sure now you guys have a very good basics handle of how things work on the command line interface with Ubuntu.